So let us start in any comfortable seated position. And if you are really, really tired, you also might like to allow yourself to lie down on your back. That's okay. You might like to look at one stable point, somewhere down, or maybe close your eyes. And then see if you can pay attention to the way you are breathing. So first of all, notice how long and smooth your breath is. And then see if you can make your breath a little longer, a little slower. So see if you can breathe in and out through your nose. And you actually could use the Ujjayi breath for your yin practice. So I just remind you with the yin, with the Ujjayi breath, you might like to gently squeeze the backside of the throat, and then you will create the hissing sound, which is familiar to the sound of the ocean. And you can breathe with the Ujjayi during whole practice. Good. You might like to place the hands on your lower belly for a moment and concentrate on your hands. They might feel warm or cold. See if you can send your breath to your hands, and with every in-breath feel your belly expanding to the front and side. And with every out-breath, feel your belly falling in. And see if you can follow your breath for a couple of times. Whenever you notice the mind is taken, maybe you start to simply think about the past or the future. Very kindly bring yourself back to your breathing. One breath. And then you might like to place one hand on your heart. And just be aware how the warmth moved to your heart, to your chest. And let us set the intention for the practice. What I need in this very moment of my life. Maybe there are some things I need to let go, or other qualities to bring into my life. Take another breath. And then complete breath out. And then carefully release the hands. You might like to open your eyes, and we will start with the finger stretch. So you can simply sit in a cross-legged position. Maybe switch the sides, so other foot at the front. And then press your thumbs against your thighs. And see if you can find a stretch at the inside of your thumb. Long stretch. There should be never sharp or stinging pain at the back side of your finger, your thumb. And by stretching your thumb, we stimulate the lung meridian. And then you might like to place your index fingers on your thumb, on your thighs, and then gently press them, stimulating the large intestine. So both fingers, the thumb and the index finger, they represent a metal element. And take another breath here. Complete breath out. And let us go into the middle fingers. This is our pericardium. Same here. Pay attention what you feel. Where is the stretch? We like to feel the stretch at the inside of the fingers. None of the sharp sensation at the backside of your fingers. The pericardium, a double layered fascia around the heart. And then let us go to the ring fingers. This is the triple heater. And same here. Give a gentle pressure, stimulating the fire element. And let us go into the index fingers. This is the heart and small intestine, also fire element. Another 2 breaths. And 1 breath. And then carefully release. Take a tiny moment to feel the sensations in your fingers and hands. Maybe you feel anything like a tingling sensations or energy flowing, a little pulsation or warmth or coolness. Good, take 1 more breath here. And then complete breath out. Good, you can move with the fingers gently. And now if you can, please sit on the heels. And then turn the fingers down and place the hands on the ground. So in here you can walk your hands further forward or backward, depending what you feel in your wrist. So we like to feel the stretch at the inside of your wrist. If you're not able to sit on the knees, you could sit simply on the sitting bones. And then maybe instead of placing the hands on the ground, you could just grab your one hand and then pull the fingers towards you. So this could be your option. And again, we look for the stretch here over the inside of the wrist. There should be no sharp sensation at the back side of your wrist, yeah? And you are welcome to turn the fingers, turn the arms, any way it feels comfortable. And from the moment you're comfortable, see if you can return to your breathing. Yes, you might like to drop your head. And And by dropping your head, you might feel the stretch at the back side of your neck. So with this pose, we are stimulating the 3 yin meridians, so the inside of the arm, including the lungs, heart, and the pericardium. And when we talk about the emotions, especially the out of balance emotions, out of balance metal element, out of balance emotion is a grief, sadness. Out of balance emotion of fire is the hate. And the balance emotions for the metal is the contentment. Being actually happy with what we have, what we don't have. It is really a practice of gratitude. And balance emotions of the fire is the joy and love. We are going to stay here for another 5 breaths. Another 2 breaths. And 1 breath. And then very carefully bring yourself out of the pose. Again, for a little moment, you might like to relax your hands on your thighs. Maybe close your eyes to dive inside into your wrists, hands, forearms. Any pulsation, warmth. And also observe how all those sensations are passing away. Take another breath. And then complete breath out. Perfect. So for a little moment you might like to move with your wrists. Yeah, so those wrists might feel a bit stiff. But as we bring a little more movement, they will like it. Perfect. The next pose will be the seagull pose. It's another seated position. So you can choose either sitting on the heels if you're comfortable, or maybe sit on a chair, or on a blanket, or meditation pillow, whatever you have. And with the seagull pose, we're going to bring the backside of your hands into your rib cage, yeah, or the armpit. So you can really try out to turn your fingers to the back or to the floor or towards the front. So choose the angle which feels the most comfortable for your wrist. So what we will look for in this pose is a stretch of the outside of your wrist, this part, but we don't need to feel any sharp sensation in your wrist or numbness of your fingers. If the seagull doesn't work, you can also choose to grab your finger or the hand and then pull the hand towards you. And then see if you can find a comfortable seated position. See if you can relax your shoulders, And whenever you feel, it doesn't feel really comfortable, see if you can breathe to any non-comfortable place of your body. So I always say that whenever you feel any sharp stinging pain, that's a red pain, and we have to stop and we need to adjust the pose. If you're in the pose and you say it is not pleasant but it's not sharp, then we say just stay. Of course, don't push, just stay with this unpleasant moment. And we are stimulating the yang meridians of the upper body, including small, large intestine, and then triple heater. You might like to keep the awareness on this stretch or this unpleasant sensation, and keep sending there your breath and your care and love, and see if anything will change. Maybe the things which felt unpleasant start to feel more pleasant. Feeling the movement of your breath, especially here when the hands are resting on your ribcage, you might feel the expansion of the ribcage with every time you inhale, and then the ribcage gets back to center as you breathe out. It's a bit like the accordion movement. See if you can follow the pathway of your breath, but also the movement of your breath. So the expansion, and remember that we are shifting from our doing, being busy, into being. So we don't have to achieve anything, we don't need to do anything, just be with what is present. Be present with everything, what's in the body or in the mind or the emotions which will come up. 5 more breaths. And 2 more breaths. And then 1 more breath. And then very carefully slide your hands down. You might like to rest the hands on your thighs. Bring the awareness to your wrists, hands. How it feels, a lightness, space, coolness, happiness. Good, and let us take one more breath. And then complete breath out. So the next pose will be the Anahatasana. If you are able to be on your knees, get to the hands and knees. And then walk the hands forward towards the corners of your mat, and then move your chest down. You can get your forehead down or your chin down. Let the rib cage rest. And if you are not able to be on your knees, so then maybe you could take the open wing pose. But then we do it with a wall, yeah? So you could find a place close to the wall, and then you bring your hand to the wall. And then what we do, you will walk away from the wall, and we will focus on the stretch of the inside of the armpits. So if you are with the open wing with a wall, so I just remind you to feel the stretch in the inside of your armpit, and there should be no sharp pain by your shoulder, especially the back, or also no numbness of your fingers or hands. You can experiment with keeping your hand higher or lower. And if you are in Anahatasana, there should be also no sharp sensation by your shoulders. You might like to widen the elbows and maybe place the hands under the forehead. You could also straighten one arm and then go for a one arm heart melting pose. Or maybe try to keep the hands more together. And for sure what can help you is to use a pillow or blanket under the rib cage. If you feel the rib cage is floating, you can use a support. And then from the moment you feel comfortable, just see if you can return to your breathing. And again, send your breath to any tight spot of your armpits, the chest. If you're in Anahatasana, maybe there's slight stretch in your belly muscles. In Anahatasana, if there is any sharpness in your lower back, you could keep your feet wider. This creates more space in the lower back, but also in your hips and the SI joint. So let us stay here for another 5 breaths. And then one more breath. And then carefully bring yourself out of the pose. If you're able, take a child pose. Bring the arms next to your body and rest your forehead down. And if the child pose doesn't work because of any injury on your knee, you can straighten your legs forward and take a caterpillar. Same here, you could keep your arms next to your body and simply bend forward. In a child pose, you feel the forehead resting on the ground. This can help you to calm down your front brain, this very logical thinking brain. See if you can relax your shoulders, your neck. And if you feel tiny stretch in your lower back or upper back, space between the shoulder blades, that's green. If you're in a child pose, there should be no sharp pain in your knees or hip joints. Therefore, you can take a caterpillar with your legs stretched forward. And if you are in a caterpillar, remember no sharp sensations by the backside of your knees. If there is any sharp sensation, roll the blanket and place the blanket under the knees. And also there should be no numbness of your feet. If there is any numbness of the feet, you either widen the legs or you sit on a blanket, you sit a little higher. So in those two poses, caterpillar and child pose, we are stimulating the urinary bladder meridian and a governing vessel. The urinary bladder meridian, this is a water element. And the water element with out of balance emotion, fear, and balance emotion, wisdom. So see if you can send the breath to any tight spot of your back body, either only your lower back, upper back, or also the hamstrings. And again, see if you can focus on all those tightness, discomfort. Send your breath, send your care and love. And simply let go of any fear, any anxiety. And a few days ago, I just got into an interesting thing I like to share it with you. The Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, answered, man, because he suffers his health in order to make money. Then he suffers money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then dies having never really lived. Let us stay in this pose for another 5 breaths. And after 5th breath, you could very carefully bring yourself out of the pose, roll vertebra by vertebra up, straighten the legs, you might like to bring the hands behind you, straighten the legs forward, relaxing your shoulders, and turn your attention inward. Feeling all the energy flowing through your legs and your spine and the arms. See if you can keep your jaw relaxed. So rest your tongue on the upper palate of your mouth. The lips are soft. And let us take one more breath. And then breathe fully out. The next pose will be the graceful bow. So this is also seated position, so you might like to sit on something higher, maybe using a blanket or meditation pillow, or eventually also could sit on a chair. It is a position for the upper body. So what we will do in this pose, you might like to watch for a moment. So we will bend the right elbow and then we bring the left arm inside of our right hand, and this is the position of the arms. If you can. If you're not able to hold your arms this way, you can also keep your hands on your sacrum. And then bring your left ear towards your left shoulder. Good. And then we look for the stretch of the right side of your neck. Long stretch. Maybe you feel some stretch over your right shoulder or front side of your chest. We don't want to feel any sharp or stinging pain in the shoulder or any numbness of your right hand. You might like to focus your eyes on one point or close your eyes. See if you can return to your breathing. A graceful bow. See if you can let go of any tightness from your neck, the shoulder. Let go of any irritation or anger. And see if you can bring a bit more of a kindness and compassion. Kindness and compassion to yourself. And stay present. Just look inside with a curiosity. What is actually inside? And whenever you find a non-acceptance, fear, sadness, hate, anger, worries, stress, see if you can let go of all those emotions with every out-breath. Creating a space for qualities and emotions. You might like to briefly scan your body. Maybe there are still some parts of the body you're holding on, like your jaw, shoulders, hips. And to feel more, you might like to bend your head further to your left side, or bring your chin lower or higher. And then let us stay here for 5 breaths. And then after the 5th breath, very carefully bring yourself back to center. And then release the arms. You might like to move your head to right, left. Notice what you feel. And if you stop moving for a moment, just notice what is inside, all the energy flowing, tingling sensations, little happiness. And let us take one more breath. And complete breath out. Yes, let us switch the side. So bring your left hand behind your back. So either you grab your right upper arm or the elbow or the forearm, or place the hands on the sacrum, see what's possible. This side might feel different. And then when you're ready, you please bring your right ear to the right shoulder. And especially when you feel this side is different, maybe a bit more stiff side or injured side, see if you can be very careful and very kind to the shoulder with the history. And same here, you could close your eyes. Each time we close the eyes, there's less impulses from outside, and we can easier focus on what's inside. We can follow with the awareness all the sensations in the body. The thoughts passing by, triggered emotions. See if you can slow down your breath. If you breathe for a count of 5, see if you can breathe out for a count of 6 or 7. And you might like to just go back to the beginning of this day today. And just go activity by activity. Everything what you've done today from the moment you open the eyes. And as you will mention those activities you've done today, just be aware of what you are thankful for, what you are grateful for. Every day is a gift. So every day brings a gift. When we start to see those gifts, then after a while we realize that there is more and more gifts in our life. Let us stay here for another 5 breaths. And one more breath. And very carefully you might like to release the pose. Bring the hands back to your thighs. Yeah, you can straighten the legs. Let your legs rest a bit. Change the position. And same here, you could turn your head to your right, left. Notice how is your neck, how are your shoulders. Let us take one more breath. And then complete breath out. So the next pose will be the thread the needle. So the thread the needle is the pose on the knees again. So be patient. I will give you alternative if you're not able to be on your knees. So let us start with the thread the needle. You probably need a blanket. So you could place the blanket on your mat. Get to the hands and knees. And then let us start with the left arm. So bring your left arm under the armpit. Bring your shoulder down. And here you can stay. And then focus on the spinal twist, the lower and upper back. So this pose, the spinal twist should not be done if there is a cold menstruation or if there are any trouble with the knees. So in that case, you might like to lie down on your back. And let us start with the right leg. So bring your right knee towards your body. Yes. You could also shift the hips to your right side beforehand. And then bring your knee down to the ground. And in the spinal twist, what's really important is to watch out what's going on with your right arm. If you find your right arm floating, then please use extra blanket under your shoulder or under your arm. So let your arm and the shoulder be supported. And same, you could use the blanket under your right knee if you find your knee floating. And then see if you can find a slow and deep breath. And if you are in a thread the needle, so we look for the stretch over the lower back and your upper back. There should be no like a sharp pain in your left shoulder or numbness of your left hand. You always can bring your arm a little lower if you need that. And see if you can be gentle to yourself. And send your breath to any stiff spot of your body, especially the lower back and the upper back. The spinal twist is very nice to follow the pathway of your breath. So you can really feel how the breath is entering your body through your nose, is passing by your lungs and goes to your belly. And also to feel how the air is leaving the body. So feeling kind of emptiness and fullness. And with every exhalation, see if you can relax. And let us stay here for another 5 breaths. Maybe the stretch you feel is different than in the beginning of your practice. Pay attention. And then carefully bring yourself out of the pose. If you're in the thread the needle, you could take a moment in a child pose. If you did the spinal twist, you might like to straighten the legs. And then lie down on your back, feel. Simply compare the right and left side of your body. How different they feel. Which side feels more loose, more open? Let us take one more breath. And then complete breath out. We are going to switch the side now, so when you're ready, you might like to get into the hands and knees. And one reminder, whenever you find your knees being sensitive, you can also use an extra blanket beneath your knees, yeah? If you like that. So we go for the thread the needle with the other arm, the right arm under the left armpit, or choose the spinal twist. So I remind you to use the blanket under the right shoulder, and then move your right arm as much forward as possible. You can let the hand palm face up. You can experiment with the placement of your feet and knees. You can keep your legs far away or close by. And I remind you not to do the thread the needle when menstruation, high blood pressure or headache. You always can take the spinal twist. And from the moment you feel at ease, see if you can return to your breathing. And send the breath to any tight spot of your upper back, space between the shoulder blades, the outside of your right arm. And if you're in a spinal twist, you might feel also the stretch in your left chest, the left butt muscle, lower back. And with every out breath, let go of any tightness, any tension. Remember, any physical tension might be connected to mental or emotional tension. And with every out breath, keep relaxing. And let us stay here for another 5 breaths. And then carefully bring yourself out of the pose. So maybe you take another child pose for a moment, or if you're on your back, just stay on your back. And take a tiny moment to feel the sensations. And then stay here for another 5 breaths, please. And one more breath. And then carefully bring yourself out of the pose. So for the next pose you need a blanket and 2 pillows or 3 blankets. So we are going to roll one of the blanket and place it on your mat. We are going to lie down with our shoulder blades on that blanket. And those pillows or the other blankets can be placed under your thighs as we take a butterfly pose. If you prefer to keep your legs straight, you also can choose that. And then please check the placement of your shoulder blades or of your blanket. We like the blanket to be placed under the shoulder blades. Then you can rest your head and then bring the arms. Probably, if you can, bring your arms by your ears in a cactus position. So we are stimulating, actually again, the yin meridians of the arms, including the lungs, the heart, the pericardium. There is a slight stretch in your chest, probably armpits, and in the legs, the liver meridian inside of your thighs. There should be no sharp pain in your shoulders or any numbness of your fingers, and also no pain in your hip joints or lower back or the SI joint. You might like to widen your feet or bring your feet closer towards your sitting bones to feel a little different stretch. And then from the moment you feel comfortable, see if you can return to your breath and find your breath down in your lower belly. And each time the breath is passing by the backside of your heart, your shoulder blades, especially on the in-breath, you might feel this kind of compression. But after a while, after a few breaths, you will notice this all is changing, as everything is changing in every second. There is never the same day. There is never the same meeting. Everything is different. In every second. And that's what's difficult for humankind to accept, that everything is in constant change. As we have a tendency to grasp, hold on, especially if things which feel good are pleasant. Like we like the summer to be forever. We like the flowers to bloom all year long. but everything comes and everything goes. Things we dislike and things we like. Therefore, let us be simply grateful for the present moment. Let us stay here for another 5 breaths. And then after 5th breath, you could carefully release your arms and bring the hands under the thighs, and then slowly close your legs, so help them to close. You might like to roll to one side, and then remove the blanket. You might like to bring the blanket over your body for the final relaxation.